Napa know-how.
The Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 500,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, folks. Hopefully everybody can hear me this afternoon. Seem to be having a bit of a technical difficulty, so we're going to try to get Rolando Molina on the phone and see if we can get the show started. Hi there, Rolando. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I'm calling this.
Hello,
Can you hear
Rolando?
me? I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm here, too.
Oh,
That was
okay.
scary for a second. I'm like, we're having a little technical difficulty in the first 30 seconds, and that sucks.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I was like, hello, hello. I'm thinking hello, and usually we don't have these kind of problems on the show. I mean, in the beginning we were having a little trouble, and this is internet radio, so when you call in, of course, you have I have a number, you have a number to call in. So I call in, I put in a code, and then it should connect me right away. And it wasn't connecting me. I was just kind of sitting here with just me, and that was pretty much it.
I got put on a queue is what I was told.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you're not in the queue anymore. Now you're with me. Hi.
Oh, are we live on the internet radio?
We are live on the internet radio right now. Yeah.
Oh, I'm biting my nails.
No, I'm biting my nails. I think I should tell everyone in the audience that earlier when I was speaking to Rolando today for the first time, he scared the shit out of me. Not because of the fact that he wasn't nice to me on the phone, but because of his actual presence. Because if all of you have looked at him, you know, he's one big-ass guy. So, you know, I'm like, great, I get to talk to this big, scary guy who's actually quite nice, I have to say. I'm going to tell everybody that right off the bat. You're a sweetheart. You really are.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, Cindy.
You're very welcome. I have got just a crap load of questions for you, so I'm going to kind of get started off at the beginning, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you stand amongst the very first of my guests, and hopefully many more to come, that actually originally your birthright stems from Central America, El Salvador to be exact. So
yeah, that is correct.
I want to start off by asking, first and foremost, what sort of childhood was bestowed upon you, meaning both yourself and your brother residing in such a diverse culture? Because from what I understand, it's completely different from living here in the States. So maybe you can expound on that a little bit.
Well, yeah, I was actually born in El Salvador, and so was my brother. We're 2.5 years apart, and but my mother decided to move us to the States when I was 3 years old. So I remember very little of that time in my life, obviously, because I was only 3 years old, but I did go back to El Salvador when I was about 7 or 8 years old because my mother ran into some financial difficulties and she had to send my brother and I back to El Salvador. So I did get the full experience of living out there, and it was a culture shock for me because obviously, you know, I had very little memories of my childhood up to 3 years old over there. But the one thing that stood out the most is that my people are very, very poor. The majority of people in El Salvador are very poor. And with that being said, they are still the most pleasant and most happiest people on earth. I mean, they're so nice. And even though at the time there was a civil war going on there, and I even actually went through a horrible experience where the guerrillas and the military clashed in our own neighborhood, and there was a shootout going on overnight, all night long. It started around 6 in the evening, and it went to like 10 in the morning the next morning. We barricaded ourselves inside the house. So it was a scary experience, but it really showed me the difference, the vast difference between, the American culture and the culture in my country, But I just recently went back to visit after 20 years last year in May, and I have to say that it's been modernized quite a bit, actually. There's a lot of American influence going on over there, like with malls and movie theaters and things like that, which I was very surprised. But, the poverty still does exist, and it's sad.
Sure.
It's really sad.
Oh, I can imagine so, definitely. And do you think it maybe kind of changes you? I mean, do you bring any of that, obviously, in visiting and coming back and seeing that culture, now that you are a seasoned veteran as it relates to acting? Does some of that kind of play a part in terms of how you project some of your roles, maybe some of what you've come from?
Oh, definitely. If and ever I do have to play a Salvadorian role, which I have in the past, but if I do it again, I think that there is something different about the way I would portray a Salvadorian character, because, especially because of the way. For example, my cousin out there, he's lived out there his whole life, and he's maybe 10 years younger than me. But I noticed his lifestyle out there. How he grew up and how it defined the person he is today. Which is, he's a good man. He's married and has a wife. But there's this humility and he's so humble, and it's simply because of the way the culture is in El Salvador. And we love our parents. That's number one thing, and to be honest with you, I'd never understood the American culture of once your parents reach a certain age, you throw them into an old folks home. In our community, maybe just in the Latin community in general, we don't believe in that. We keep our elderly with us until the day they pass away, and they live with us, and we take care of them. That's definitely a huge difference, So there are many things in the Salvadorian culture and the Latin American culture altogether that help me define, how I would portray future characters.
Oh, I imagine so, definitely. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask, because, of course, most of us are privy to visiting such a culture, if we were to go there, what are some of the pleasantries or things that we might find entertaining or just fascinating about your culture that we don't have?
Well, I'll tell you this much. We are a tropical country. We are not too far from the equator itself. So year-round, there's two seasons. There's summer and there's what's called winter, but winters consist of just rain with 80-degree weather. So it's humid and whatnot. But the most beautiful thing that I found or rediscovered about my country was the beaches and just the tropical, the lush forests, and I mean it's just a beautiful, beautiful country. I had the pleasure of actually going with my cousin and his wife to his wife's mother's ranch, a coffee ranch that they have out there, which is up in a mountain, and the drive up there, the scenery, there's so many volcanoes, and it was just amazing. And our beaches, they're black sand beaches, and the water temperature, I shit you not, Cindy, it's got to be at least 78 degrees year-round.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So that's definitely some of the biggest perks of my country. And also, they have little resorts there, too, where it's kind of like the resorts anywhere in the world, but, it's our beaches. And it was just an amazing experience to be out there, and I can't wait to go back again. But I would definitely suggest anybody traveling to El Salvador, you got to check out all the beach, as many beaches as you can, and check out my people too, man. We're a bunch of friendly people.
Oh, I imagine so. If you're any reflection of that, I've hands down absolutely no doubt that that's the case, actually. One more question in reference to this, and we'll kind of move on. I'm just curious, in different cultures in different parts of the world, obviously, entertainment plays a different field. So, obviously how we view entertainment in Los Angeles and New York, it's so heavy and predominant. Whereas, let's say, if we go to venture to El Salvador, what's that like? Meaning, is entertainment a big staple for them, or is it kind of just not the big folderol that it is here?
Well, what I've noticed is that the new generation, meaning my cousin's generation and before him, they become very, very interested in the entertainment industry to the point where I remember last year I did a film called A Better Life, which is nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture, and also the main actor, Damian Bashir, Mexican actor, was nominated for Best Actor. Because of that buzz, I got there was a newspaper reporter from El Salvador that got a hold of me through Facebook, and wanted to interview me. So he interviewed me over the phone and for about an hour. And next thing I know, my picture's on the front page of a major newspaper in El Salvador with my story of how I'm a Salvadorian actor, working in the United States and whatnot. And it was pretty amazing when I went out there because that newspaper came out actually about a month before I traveled out there. So the welcome and the reception that I got from people that actually recognized me from the newspaper was just amazing. What I've noticed is that a lot of youngsters that in El Salvador now they built movie theaters like the ones we have out here in the States now. And I remember actually while I was out there, I went to a movie theater to go watch The Avengers. And that's a very interesting movie to watch in Spanish, which not subtitles, but actual Spanish dubbing. And then I saw the crowd that was there. It was packed. It was totally packed, but it was mostly the new generation that was there. I really didn't see anybody from let's say my parents' generation and whatnot at the movie theater.
Right.
So definitely I think the entertainment industry is definitely booming now out there.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, thank you for taking us into your culture there a little bit. I just found that so fascinating. I'm like, it's a big difference between L.A. and El Salvador, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't find that a whole lot. So I'm like, this is absolutely cool. It's amazing. Now, I want to highlight the fact that we'll be talking about one of many admirable attributes that you possess, at least in my opinion. The first of which being it's true. So just take it.
Okay.
You have just a genuine respect for your family, and that kind of resonated in our conversation. And I know that you've been quite candid in revealing that your mother serves as a role model in your life.
Yes.
From the description that you painted to me of her, it seems as though she's just a personification of perfection to you. So if you could elaborate to our listeners the reasoning behind those feelings, as well as how she's made an impact on your successful career.
Well, my mother is an extremely, she's an extraordinary woman, strong. She's gone through so many things in her life, and she's come out on top, in my opinion, and I think that's the reason why I respect her so much. She had a really tough childhood. She was the oldest of 7 children, and my grandmother had to pull her out of school when she was 12 years old so she could start working to help support the family because my grandmother was a single mother with 7 kids. And, it was very rough for her being the oldest sibling of her family because she would have to take care of her little brothers and sisters and whatnot and feed them and work. And, at one time, I remember my mother telling me a story of her having to be put in it's kind of like a foster home for kids because of, financial difficulties that my grandmother was having. So her and her oldest brother, or, her youngest brother, were put in there together. And it was somewhat like a Catholic orphanage. She was abused there by the nuns, physically, emotionally, mentally. And then, my mother also, when she became an adult, once she had me and my brother, she was still a single mom. Don't ask me why the women in my family are single moms, but it seems like it happens a lot.
Okay.
But, so my mom was a single mom, and she took it upon herself to raise my brother and I by herself and bring us to the state by herself. And, her not knowing the language, she went to school here to learn the language, a very smart woman, a very kind woman. And, seeing her struggle all these years up until the point where she met who I call my father, even though he's my stepfather, obviously, but I call him father because he's been the only father in my life. And when he came into our lives, things changed for her for the better, obviously. But, you know, her struggling all these years to keep my brother and I together and keep us ahead of her. She always put us ahead of her own needs, you know. And seeing my mother suffer through what she suffered through, she did battle with a few demons herself, you know, and the fact that she overcame all that, I've learned to get that power that she has from her. You know, she's the one that strength that she has is what encourages me and propels me to do better and to be a better person every day of my life. And the one thing that I want everybody to know about my mother is that I am definitely a mama's boy. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I am not ashamed to admit that at all. I love my mother to death, and you know, I don't know what I'd do without her. And again, just the only thing I could say about my mom is that she's a strong, confident, and beautiful woman that, you know, she's 60 years old now, and she's still going strong, and she's a great humanitarian. She's a CNA. She works taking care of elderly people. And for some reason, she always wins them over, you know, because I don't know if you know, but elderly people, they get pretty cranky, and especially the lady she's taking care of right now, she's 94 years old, and she couldn't deal with any other CNA except for my mom. So my mom's ended up being her only caretaker. You know, so I think that just speaks volumes about the kind of person my mother is and how strong she is.
It's amazing. It's so moving to hear you just listen to you talk about this woman. I think it's beautiful. Nothing short of beautiful, I have to say. I am curious to ask this because I've asked other stars this before in the past, so I'm curious about your reaction to this. Some parents, obviously, even though as much as they love you and they support you, they say to themselves, you know what, there's about 8 million actors out there. Who knows if you're going to make it? Was there ever a point in time where she's like, you know what, honey, maybe we should just look at, I don't know, being a doctor, a lawyer, in your case a bodyguard because you do that well. You know what I'm saying, though? Like steady income, something where you're not going to run the risk of being broke, you know, or being, you know, a starving artist.
That's a very good question. Actually, when I decided to become an actor, I was right out of high school. I mean, I wanted to be an actor prior to that. I knew when I was like 12 years old, I knew that this is something I really wanted to do. So when I told my mother that, you know, at that age, she's like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever, it's a dream, right? But once I got out of high school and she saw that I was really serious about it, she did sat me down and told me, you know, perhaps, okay, you have a dream, go for it, that's fine, but you should always have something to fall back on. Maybe you should go to school and learn something. I know you could be a lawyer because you love to argue, she told me, you know, and you'd be good at it, and you're smart enough to be a doctor, and, you know, and have a safety net. And I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, with all due respect, I love you and I appreciate your advice, but the way I look at it is this. Me going on a high wire, going into acting is like me going on a high wire and start walking that wire, right? And if I have a safety net underneath that wire, I'm not going to give it my all. I'm not going to keep going. If I fall, there's a net. I'm going to fall. I'll be okay. But if there's not a safety net there, then I have no choice but to succeed. So that was my rationale as to why I didn't want to go to college and learn another trade, because I knew that this is what I had a passion for. This is what I was going to do for the rest of my life, and if not, I was going to die trying. And, you know, that's what I told my mother, and, you know, like any other mother, she rolled her eyes and said, okay. You know, but the one thing is that she always did support me with my goals and dreams, and you know, it's kind of weird because even though my mother has seen a lot of my work on TV and film and whatnot, I did a play a few years back in 2008 where I played the lead, and it was a very emotional play. You know, the character I played was betrayed by his best friend and his wife. He had an affair with his wife, and then he OD'd, and, you know, so it was very emotional. So once the last performance, of the run, my mother and father showed up to go watch it. And once the play was done and I came outside to the audience, I found my mom. And this is about 15, 20 minutes after the play's done, because I went backstage and changed and then came out. My mom was crying still. And I go, Mom, why are you crying? It's been 20 minutes. It's over already. And the most beautiful thing that I think my mother's ever told me is that she said, I'm not crying because of, how emotional the play is. I'm crying because of how proud how proud of you I am.
Ooh, my goodness.
Whoa, Cindy, you got me.
We're having a minute here. This is going to be my new claim to fame. Come on Sam Crow Radio and watch Cindy make you cry. I got to tell you something. You're doing the same thing right to me, so I'll because you've been so kind and sweet, I have to tell you that it's so moving, because I've absolutely no relationship with my own mother, and I think that it's amazing. You have no idea how very lucky you are to possess such love and such support and such positive reinforcement in your life. I think that 100% pushes you and makes you a better individual, not only personally, but professionally. I think there's something to be said about having that family backing. So kudos to you. That's amazing, man. I'm really happy for you. Now quit your damn crying, because we got an interview to do.
Yeah, we'll never get
it back
through the
together
show.
here, man. I know.
Yes,
People are going to be like, dude, what are we listening to here? Tears and sorrow? Okay, moving along. Let's talk about some more uplifting stuff. Actually, I got to say that another reason why I admire Rolando so much is just your candidness. I carry a great respect for you because you have this self-proclaimed disclosure as it relates to your particular lifestyle. I'm not sure that everyone knows this, but Rolando is not only in a relationship, but he happens to be gay.
That's right, and proud of it.
Yes, I was just going to say, and we're all proud of it. So
after
that big little pause that we had there, because I'm like, dun, 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 dramatic.
Yeah, I know, and
people
probably,
are like waiting to be like, did she just say that? Yes,
yeah, but I just heard half of the United States gasp right now. So,
oh my God, really? I can't believe that. Okay, so I got to ask you a couple questions about this, because I do think it's pertinent to be able to talk about such a thing, because obviously you're not. And I don't want to say you're not the average guy, because you obviously are, but you are in a different capacity, in a different profession that we are. So I'm just curious to ask just a couple of questions. First off, of course, what age did you fully come out, and was that more of a surreal moment for you?
Yeah, it was extremely surreal. I knew since I was a young kid who I was, because there's a lot of misconception out there about homosexuality, and the fact that a lot of people think that it's a choice in lifestyle. And I'm here to tell you that that is not true. We are born this way. And the reason I say that is because ever since I was a child, I remember I was never abused. I was never sexually abused or anything like that, so they can't use that excuse. I just remember, as far as 8 years old, that I was attracted to boys. I was never attracted to girls, and I knew that as a child, but because of the fact that I grew up in a religious household, and what I was taught about homosexuality was that it's wrong, you're going to hell, and, all the negative aspects about it. So I, of course, lived a lie for many, many years, through my teen years, through high school, and, I kept it a secret most of the time. But the one thing I learned was that I ended up hurting. I dated girls, and I was sexually active with girls and whatnot. But what I hate the most is that I hurt them, because of the lie that I was living. I broke hearts, and that's something that I have to live with the rest of my life. And those girls out there that, if you're listening, I'm so sorry, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from. But anyways, and as far as coming out, I actually didn't come out until I was about 25 years old, and reason being, again, the fear of, the honest truth is the fear of rejection of my parents and my family. That was my biggest fear of all. I could care less about, people around me, friends or whoever, that would, shun me out because of that. I could care less about them, but my family is the most important thing in my life, and still was and still is. And that was what I was afraid of. But you know, it's weird how it happened. My sister-in-law kind of saw me with a guy that I was dating at the time, and was suspicious. And she kind of did a little snooping on her own and figured it out, and went and told my brother. And my younger brother, he calls me one day and say, "Hey, we need to talk." And he tells me, "Listen, so you know, my wife said this and that, and is it true?" And I'm like, "Holy crap! Okay, all right, yeah, it's true, you know." And you know, and you get I'm sure you've heard this before. This weight's lifted off of you. You finally told somebody, and my brother was the one that actually said, "You know what? I don't give a damn. If anybody fucks with you, you let me know, and I got your back."
Cool.
You know, and then, but he did tell me, he says, "You got to tell our parents, though." So, you know, I told him, man, that's the hardest thing for me to do, bro. You know, what if they don't accept me? What if they're like, dude, they're our parents, they love us, you know? So, and he even said, you know what, I'll go with you. And that's the push that I needed, that it took for me to actually agree to it. So when we went to my parents' house to let them know about, you know, my sexuality, it was extremely emotional for me. I started crying even before I told them. But once I told them, it was very interesting. My father, who's a very emotional man, but he's nonetheless a man, he started crying. But the reason he started crying wasn't, he later told me, the reason he started crying wasn't because I was gay. It was because of how bad he felt, because he had made so many gay jokes around me as a child. And, you know, and I explained to him, I said, "Dad, I understand that you weren't doing that with malicious intent. Even when you were saying those jokes, it wasn't with malicious intent. It was just a joke." But he still felt bad. And my mom, of course, like any mother knows her son, I already knew. That was her response. You know, and at that point is when this entire weight was lifted off of me, where my parents did not shun me out. They supported me. They accepted me 100% the way they are. And to this day, they love me and they love my partner equally. They call him son as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so amazing. Kudos to you. That's great.
So I just want to say one last thing about that before we move on is to any youngsters out there who are struggling with their sexuality, they know who they are. Understand one thing. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay that if other people don't accept you, that's okay. You move on, because you will find people that will accept you. It breaks my heart when I hear about teenage gay youth kids committing suicide because of bullying or because of intolerance that they have to suffer. And it's not fair. We live in 2013 America. Wake up. Our children are our future, and we're letting them die simply because of who they are. So you guys out there, you young kids out there that are hearing me now, please understand, I've been through what you've been through, and I'm here to tell you it gets better. Never give up. Never give up on yourselves. Never.
Very inspiring words. Thank you. I have a couple more questions relative to this, and then we can move on. Mm-hmm. Have you found any instances during your career where this particular truth in your life has meant a loss of friends or roles or maybe even other people's respect?
You know, it's really funny because I remember I had about 4 best friends in high school, and out of all 4 of them, only one decided not to be my friend after I came out. And his excuse was because I was friends with him under false pretense. Whatever. But that's okay. But that's okay because he's the only ignorant person in my life that did not accept me. But anybody else throughout my entire family, my career that I've told, they've all accepted me, and they've all respected me. And I've never had anybody come and try to disrespect me to my face, and maybe it has a lot to do with what you were saying, that I'm a scary-looking guy or whatnot. But the bottom line is, I've been very fortunate that all my friends and family have supported me, and I am a private person, to be honest with you. I don't go out there and go, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Rolando, and I'm gay." I don't do that. If somebody was to ask me, and if I felt that they were a pertinent part of my life, then I would choose to tell them, yes, sure. But, you know, I don't announce it like that. But if I'm asked, I have no problem with admitting it, and it depends on the person as well, you know, but, yeah.
Right. Well, I understand. Great. Now what a jackass I feel like. So now I've just put you on the national radio here, and now everyone's going to hear you say that.
Okay, nice.
Great. Wonderful.
Awesome.
Nice. I got him a little less shy today. That's great.
Yeah.
One last question regarding that now. Do you think for you personally, would you be receptive to being cast in a role, playing a gay male, and then further, do you feel that homosexual males are falsely portrayed today in entertainment?
Well, you know what? I think it used to be that way, but recently, I'll give you a perfect example. Southland, the TV show Southland, there's a character, he's a cop who happens to be gay, but he's extremely masculine. You know, there's nothing about him, the way he talks and he moves and everything, nothing about him is the stereotypical gay guy. And that's one thing that I love about the show, because the producers have, you know, they opened their minds and said, hey, you know, homosexuality and gay men or gay women don't have to either be butch women, lesbian women, or flamboyant feminine men. You know, there's all kinds, and I'm living proof of that. The person you're hearing right now, this is who I am. I am not putting up a front. I'm not trying to put up an act. And, you know, many people, when I tell them that I'm gay, they're actually like, no, you're not. Quit your bullshit. You know, they don't believe me. You know, so I have to tell them, I go, what do I have to do? Kiss you to prove it to you? I mean, come on. But anyway, so nowadays I've been seeing a lot more of the realistic portrayal of gay men and women on film and television, and I think we're heading in the right direction as far as that's concerned. And as far as me playing a character, I'm dying to play any gay character. I mean, I would even do a drag queen because that to me, I think, would be a lot of fun. Not that I'm a cross-dresser, not that I'm a drag queen myself, because I'm really not. Honestly, I'm not. I don't have my mom's old clothes in my closet, I promise you. But I would love to play a character like that, because that's what I am. I'm an actor. I pretend to be something I'm not, you know. So and I have fun doing that. So yeah, I would have no issue with. I would even have an issue playing a straight guy.
Considering, I don't know, you've had, let me see, we'll go through the list here in a little while. I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, so note to self, if you know anyone with a gay character, we need to look up Rolando. Okay, got that down there. Okay. Now, before, as a precursor to our discussion about the various roles that you've played, in doing my research, I did not discover any detailed education highlights as far as from a theatrical standpoint regarding you. So I'm curious, how have you enveloped into the performer that you are right now, minus, let's say, all that formal coaching?
Well, I'll tell you, I've never taken an acting class in my life. I wasn't even part of the drama club in high school. I was actually a band geek in high school, and I'm proud to be a band geek as well. North Hollywood Huskies, go. Anyways, but yeah, how do I put it? Wait, tell me that question again. I'm sorry, I
did we lose you for a minute there? Hello, Rolando.
Yeah. No, sorry. I'm getting all these texts over here, and I'm trying to do two things at once. I'll put the phone down. Put the phone.
You are on Sam Crow Radio right now.
Sorry about that.
Pay attention to the people. They are listening to you right now on the radio, and you are admitting that you are not even listening.
I apologize. Tell me the question again.
It's not. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to be mean to you now. I'm curious to ask you how you enveloped into being the actor that you are right now, meaning minus the formal training. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I've never taken an acting class in my life, and what I'd like to tell people, the truth is, I've been told I'm a natural, you know, and but the reason I think that I'm a natural is because the truth of the matter is that I think that our world, our environment is our stage. And what I take, when I, depending on the character, when I perform, I take real-life situations out of my personal life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and use that life experience to portray the character. And I really think that that's the best way, you know, to really learn your craft and to refine your craft. Obviously, I don't think I was the best actor in the world when I first started my career, but I'm going on 22 years in this industry this coming August, and I've worked consistently every year on several projects. So I feel that my work speaks for itself, and also my credits speak for themselves. But I really feel that, especially in the last 10 years, that because of more life experience, obviously, I've refined my craft, and I'm very confident when I go out for auditions, and the feedback my agent gets from casting is always a very positive feedback. Oh, he's great, and whatnot. And I realize that I'm not going to book every single role I go out for, because that's just the nature of our industry. And but as long as my agent doesn't get a call saying, "Hey, he sucked. He couldn't act his way out of a paper box. He wasn't funny at all." And once those comments start coming in, then maybe it's time for me to hang it up. But until then, I'm going to keep going and just use my own life experiences to portray the future characters that I portray.
It makes a lot of sense, definitely. Any possibility you think, or any potential that it might behoove you at some point to be like, maybe I should just do a little refresher course, you know what I mean, in terms of besides the personal experience, but just maybe go and get some more formal training, just something that might polish you a little bit more? Or do you think at this point you're kind of like, you're right where you need to be?
I think I'm at this point I'm okay. I'm okay where I'm at, and again, I think that when you go to acting classes, it's another actor who's teaching you their techniques. And which is okay, and it works for a lot of people. But for me, what the training, actually, I'll tell you the secret. The training that I do is I watch TV shows, I watch films, but I watch the actors, and I watch the decisions they make when portraying a character, and that's my school. That's where I study. And that's why I'm constantly trying to keep up with all shows that are coming up. Sons of Anarchy is definitely one of the #1 top-rated shows in my life that I had the pleasure of being part of that cast and crew, even if it was for one episode. But I also watch other shows that interest me, like Dexter and Weeds and Southland, and so I keep up with the current times by watching these shows, studying the acting, and then going in and using. I take little bits and pieces from each actor and their techniques on how they deliver lines and whatnot. And I use it with a little flavor of my own, And, for example, I'll give you a perfect example, Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando was, in my opinion, if not the best actor of our generation, of our time. And I really think that I've learned quite a bit from watching his old films. And I even had the honor of being told at one time that I had a Brando-esque type of vibe about me and a character that I portrayed once. And that was, to me, that was the ultimate compliment. I was like, holy crap, I could die tomorrow and be happy, But yeah, I think that's why I really study. I just study other actors and their techniques and how they do it, and then I incorporate my own techniques into it, and that's how I come up with a lot of my own characters.
That's cool. That is. That's really cool. And it's good that you have that all. You just sound on task perfectly, like you know exactly what you're doing. You must have been doing this for a little while, huh?
Yeah, well, you know what? Actually, yeah, because you know what? I'll tell you this much. When I was 12 years old, I was watching a movie called, one of my favorite movies of all time, by the way, called Stand By Me, with River Phoenix and Jerry O'Connell and Will Wheaton and whatnot. And I remember watching that movie and then I'm sitting in the living room and then I turn to my mom and I go, Mom, I can do this. I can do what these guys are doing, what these kids are doing. I could do this. I could be an actor. That's nothing. And I knew that. So since even that early of an age, I was already studying, like, River Phoenix. Oh, my God, he was so brilliant as a 12-year-old kid. The scene where him and Will Wheaton are talking at the campsite, and he starts crying, talking about he wants to go where nobody knows him. I could relate to him at that point in time in my life. I could relate to him. And, me being that age and close to the same age as River, wow, taken aback, so yes, I've been studying, I think, actors and since I was a kid and watching TV. I was very influenced by my mom and my dad as far as movies, because they would take me and my brother every weekend to the movies, and Spanish movies nonetheless, but movies,
right.
So I think that my love for film came from all that experience.
Wonderful. Terrific. Okay, now we get to talk about some of this experience, which I'm really excited to bring up here. I want to start off because this story I find just to be this delights me just to talk about this, because I know that obviously you had a meeting, or a chance meeting, I should say, with seasoned veteran actor Edward James Olmos, which proved to be instrumental in terms of your career, obviously. So I wonder if I could persuade you to kind of retell the story to our audience so they have some feeling of how you got to where you are.
Yes, definitely. What happened was right after high school, I went to community college for a week and dropped out because I had it. I knew that I wanted to be an actor, so I decided to look for a job where I would be close to the industry. And lucky enough, I found an ad for a security guard at Universal Studios. So I applied and I got the job, and this is shortly after I graduated high school, and because I graduated high school in 1990, and one day I was working the truck gate. It was called the truck gate. That's where all the production truck vehicles would come through at the time at Universal, and lo and behold, a Porsche 911 cherry red convertible drives up with Florida license plate, and it's Edward James Olmos. And I had been a fan of Eddie Olmos since Zoot, and at the time he was doing Miami Vice, dust the Florida plates on his car. And when I saw him, I said, "Oh, Mr. Olmos, God, it's such an honor to meet you. I'm a huge fan." And you know what he said to me? He said, "Don't call me Mr. Olmos. You make me feel like my father when you call me Mr. Olmos. Call me Eddie." and I go, "Oh, okay, Eddie, great." And so it was really cool. He was a really down to earth guy, and this is when he was starting pre-production on his gritty movie American Me. And then he would drive through the gate, every day for like 2 weeks, and he was such a nice guy that he would stop and talk to me and ask me how my day was, and really cool. So then after a short while, his casting director, his name was Bob Morones, drove through the truck gate, exiting the studios, and said, "Hey, are you Rolando?" I go, "Yeah." "Well, listen, Eddie Olmos is looking for a Latino to play a cop on his new movie, American Me, and he likes the way you look in your security guard uniform. He wants to know if you'd like to audition." I'm like, "Whoa, well, like I'm sounding right now. This is how I sounded. I've never acted before." I told him I could be an extra. No. I hire actors, not extras. So do you want to go audition or not? Like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? And I had my partner, this young Filipino cat that was sitting there with me. He goes, "Hey, I'm an actor too. Can I audition?" He said, "Yeah, why don't you come on over on Monday and audition?" Now, this was on a Friday. So come Monday, I started getting ready for work, and, I didn't go. I was supposed to go that Monday morning, but I didn't go because, I don't know, just something felt like, okay, this can't be real, So anyways, I ended up getting to work that day, and my partner comes in, and he's like, "Dude, where were you? They're asking about you." I go, "Who's asking about me?" "I went to the audition, and the casting director was asking about you." He said, "Where were you?" And I'm like, "Oh, crap." So he said, "Listen, he wants you to call him." So I called the guy up, and I go, "Hey, listen, sorry I didn't make it." "It's okay. Now, can you make it today? I mean, what time's your lunchtime? Can you come during lunch?" I go, "Sure, I'll come during lunch." So I went over there. And all I remember is he gave me the lines, and he had this big old VHS camera that he was recording me with, and he said, "Okay, so just pretend to be a cop." Now, mind you, I've had a few run-ins with asshole cops, when I was younger,
right.
So I knew how to act like an asshole cop, which is what I had to play. So I went ahead and pretended to be one of those asshole cops that pulled me over as a kid. And then I was done with the audition, and then 2 days later on Wednesday, I'm getting ready for work. I get a phone call from Bob Morones, and he's like, "Hey, let me ask you something. So you say you never acted before, right?" I go, "Well, I did a school play once or twice, with 1 or 2 lines." He's like, "Okay, and you never taken any acting lessons, right?" I go, "No." He's like, wow, okay, well, Eddie Olmos took a look at the tape, and out of 53 actors, he chose you to play the role. And at that moment, I was like, holy crap. I mean, I had no idea what was going to happen after that. Everything seemed to just fall into place for me. Number one, I got the part, and I had a good friend of mine at the time. Her name's Erin Walters, who was trying to be an actress herself. And I told her about the movie. Hey, I booked this movie. She's like, no way. Okay, well, let me come on set with you. So she came on the set with me, and she brought a monologue book, and she said, hey, do me a favor, read a monologue for me. I want to see what you can do. Sure. So I read a monologue for her, had her in tears, and said, my God, Rolando, you can act. I'm like, okay, well, thanks. I didn't know that, but now I do. So she said, listen, my mom's an agent. Let me introduce you to her. So she introduced me to her mom. Her mom fell in love with me. She decided to represent me. I was supposed to work one night on the film, but it was a night shoot, so they didn't use me the first night. They didn't get to me the first night, and then the second night they got to me, but they didn't finish, so they decided to put me on what's called a hold. Now, little did I know that a hold meant that they're gonna hold you until they're ready to use you again, but you get paid for every day until they use you again. So I get a check in the mail like 2 weeks later that they haven't used me. I get a check in the mail for like $4,000. And I'm thinking, holy crap, this is a mistake. Me being the honest Dave that I am, I called up production and go, hey, guys, I think you guys made a mistake. No, you're on hold, and we have to pay you while you're on hold. I'm like, oh, wow, thank you very much. So with that money, I hired a photographer to take my headshots. I paid for printing up all my headshots. I paid my union dues to join the Screen Actors Guild, and it just seemed like everything fell into my lap like it was destiny, And then the one thing that I remembered after all that happened is that I was approached by an agent when I was 13 years old in junior high, and she wanted to represent me. And the only reason my mother did not agree to it was because at the time we were undocumented. We came to this country illegally. So when the agent asked for my Social Security number, my mom said, nope, bye, and just jetted out of the office and never went back. I was disappointed when I was 13 years old, but how many people get the same opportunity twice in a lifetime, let alone just once? You know? And so to me, I think that this is the reason why I know I'm supposed to be where I'm at, because it was my destiny. It all just fell into my lap. And let me tell you, I know there's a lot of actors out there that really hate me, going, oh, fuck you, Rolando, fuck you. Oh, my God, I can't get into the union, and I've been trying for years. And, guys, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but I have paid my dues, though. I have paid my dues. 22 years now. Sure. I paid my dues, so I deserve what I think. I think I deserve what I have now. So that's the story of that.
That's very cool, actually. And yes, I have to say, I've only had a couple of Twitter interactions with Edward, and I'm like, he's a darling man. So gracious, so nice, very respectful. Can't say a bad word about the guy, actually. My other question was relative to this. That first acting experience for you, was it a frightening endeavor for you, or was it more of a learning platform for you?
It was more of an exciting experience for me because I'm 19 years old, right? I'm this wide-eyed kid in a candy store because all of a sudden I'm working with one of the most iconic Latino actors in Hollywood. Right, and working with another iconic actor in Hollywood. His name is Danny De La Paz, who was a star of a 1977 film called Boulevard Nights, which most of the Latino community knows that film. And so he was in the film too. So it was very exciting for me to be around these people, and then to actually see the process of movie making, and to see how many people it actually takes just to make one film. It just blew my mind. And then when I finally knew that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life is the first time I got on the set, and Edward James Olmos was the director of the film. Came up to me, he said, "You nervous?" I go, "No, I'm ready to do this." He's like, "Okay, good. So don't be nervous. Everything's going to be fine. When I say action, you start the lines." I'm like, "Great. Okay." So I think once he said action, all of a sudden everything in my head went blank. But what I mean by that is that I knew that now it wasn't this 19-year-old wide-eyed kid. Now I'm playing this rookie cop. And the transformation between this 19-year-old kid and this rookie cop, it was instant in my head. And the words just flowed out of my mouth and my body. I mean, it was just like it was a high that I've never experienced in my life. And at that very moment, I knew this is what I was meant to do. And I haven't looked back since.
My gosh, thank you so much, Edward. That's all I can say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eddie. Eddie, if you're out there, Eddie, I love you. Thank you so much, and I owe my entire career to you.
Oh, how cool is that? Look at that. I guess, now this means we have to talk about, that little show called Sons of Anarchy. The little teeny tiny show that nobody's ever heard about before. You know what I just found out today when I was researching you? One of the things I came across was this neat little thing called Samcropedia. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Basically what it is you can go into, it's like an encyclopedia for Sam Crow. So basically you can type in like any actor, any person that's been on the show, and it'll give you a little blurb. Like it'll say what character you played and, where you're from and blah, 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 and all that jazz. And I'm like, how cool is that? They got their own little dictionary. Pretty cool. That's all I got to say. Now, your Sons of Anarchy, Eric, let's try this again. Sons of Anarchy. Did I get that right? Uh-oh. Why do I have a feeling that we have somehow lost our guest here? I think we have lost him. Actually, his call has dropped. Oh, how wonderful is this? Okay, well, we'll just ad-lib for a second here, and hopefully we'll get him back. To any of you that are first joining in now, obviously we're doing our interview with Rolando Molina. I can tell you that my thoughts on him thus far, up to this point in time, is nothing short of impressive. He's been very candid and very real in reference to his personal life, in reference to his acting experiences to date, which are just a plethora. I mean, there's just a slew of things that he's done in the past before that I find to be nothing short of impressive, and he's very humbling, very, very sweet man, very open and honest as is relative to his personal life, which I obviously always admire constantly. So we're having a terrific time here, and hopefully this is him. So give me 2 seconds and let me see here.
Cindy?
Hello?
Cindy?
Yes?
So sorry about that. The battery died on the handset, so I had to run upstairs and grab the other handset. Didn't we talk about this before the interview? Oh my goodness gracious! But it's a cordless phone, so I had to run up and get the other one. I apologize for that, but I'm back, guys.
Oh my gosh, that's it. This report card, you're getting a B- here. I'm telling you.
First
He's texting while he's on the air, texting and not listening.
No, I stopped.
And then he disconnects me, so I have to ad-lib. Wow. Ouch.
Okay, you were telling me about Samcropedia.
Yeah, so now we're on Sons of Anarchy. Let's talk a minute about your character, of course. You played Benny on the show, and he happened to be one of many who happened to be found dead at the hands of our antagonist, Clay Morrow, on the show. For all of us who listen, we all know, of course, who Clay is. I'd like to ask you, first of all, can you maybe give a little insight to us in terms of Ron Perlman and your shooting experiences with him on the set?
Ronnie. Ronnie is one of the most down-to-earth, humble guys you could ever meet. You would think that Hellboy would give you hell, but no, he's further from the truth. That's so far from the truth. Ron, I've had the pleasure of working with Ron on the show, but also I had the pleasure of doing a celebrity softball game with Ron Perlman, and many of the cast members of SOA were there. So I was able to actually hang out with him outside of the set. But Ron Perlman, man, he encourages you. He really makes you feel like you're part of the family. Actually, the entire crew and cast made me feel instantly like I was part of the family. Charlie Hunnam, Charlie, man, if he's out there listening, Charlie, you're the man, brother. You're the man. They showed nothing but love and respect towards me when I was on the set, and it seems that they do that with every guest star that shows up on the set, that they make them feel like they're part of the family. And definitely, it was a great experience working with all of them. And again, Ron Perlman, don't let him fool you. Don't let that thick jawline fool you. He's a sweetheart.
I can't believe it. Oh, my God. Look at all these misconceptions I'm having about all you guys on Sons of Anarchy. Holy cow. Clay Morrow himself is not a jerk. Can you believe that? Wow.
No, he's not.
That's amazing. And you know what? He really is. He is a consummate professional. I do have to say that. I mean, I just saw him in drag recently, you know, because he's doing that one role. And I'm like,
I know.
Can you believe that? I'm like, oh, my God, Ron Perlman like this? I'm thinking, no way, right? I'm like,
okay. That's my point. He's a real actor. I mean, that's what real actors do. They take on any role with no hesitation.
Definitely. Gotcha. Now, curious to ask this question. Was your casting on the show a result of some of the prior film accomplishments that you had done, or was it due in part to your kinship, of course, with Emilio Rivera? How did it come about?
Well, you know, that's a funny story. No, actually, my kinship with Emilio had nothing to do with that. What actually happened was I had booked a film called Zootopia. It's a Jewish comedy. And the casting director, Wendy O'Brien, she actually was also she's also the casting director for Sons of Anarchy. So when I went in and I booked the role, the comedy, that film, she called my agent a couple of days later and said, hey, so we know Rolando can play comedy really well, but can he play drama? And my agent's like, Wendy, it's Rolando Molina. So, and with that being said, she said, okay, great, I want to bring him in for Sons of Anarchy. There's a role in there that I think he'd be right for, if he can be dramatic. And I'm like, okay. So I get called in, Wendy calls me in, and I get to meet the director and the producers. And it just so happens that the director, Billy Gearhart, he actually worked on The Shield as a director, and I also did an episode of The Shield back in the day. So the same producers, the same little family. So, anyways, you know, he remembered me from The Shield. He recognized me, and he's like, "Oh my God, dude! Okay, this is a formality. Go ahead and do what you're going to do." Like, he already had in mind that, okay, I'm going to hire you, you know. So because of the fact that Wendy O'Brien had brought me in for Zootopia and I booked it and she was very impressed, she went ahead and brought me in for Sons of Anarchy. But little did she know that I had already gone out for Sons of Anarchy, like, the first season, but there was a different casting director back then. So, yeah, so I was very fortunate that Wendy brought me back in, and it's been a highlight in my career to have worked on Sons of Anarchy, again, because I was such a huge fan of the show. I am a huge fan of the show, but from day one. And the reason being, since you brought up Emilio, my dear friend, Emilio Rivera, who plays Alvarez, the Mayans leader, he's the one that had told me, hey, I booked this TV show, and, you know, just to let you know, it's going to start airing. I said, great, I'm going to watch it just to support you, you know, because I've never really been, you know, a biker or, you know, into biker gangs or anything like that. So at first I wasn't really interested in watching the show. The only reason I was going to watch it was to support my friend Emilio. And that's what I do with all my friends. I support all my friends. A good friend of mine, matter of fact, Joseph Julian Storia, who's on Army Wives, which starts this Sunday. He became a series regular. He was a recurring character last year, and I was supporting him just watching the show because, believe me, I'm not interested in Army Wives. But I do watch shows with friends that are in it just to support them. But I did get caught on Sons of Anarchy from the first episode. It hooked me. I was like, whoa, this show is brilliant, and I couldn't stop watching since then. So finally in the fourth season, because I've been hounding my agent to get me in, finally in the fourth season, I had the opportunity to go in and audition, and I booked the role, and, you know, the rest is history.
Exactly. I mean, it is so addicting, you know. I mean, he is such a well, I'm a writer, so of course I'm going to brag about Kurt Sutter because I'm like, you know, it's not just a culmination of terrific actors, but it really, if you just have average writing, you're not going to have a great show. He is so tight with how he does things. He has a precise way and a routine of doing something, and he's so dead on with how he does things. I find that so impressive. So it does become very addicting. And I'm not going to lie to you because I know we're on opposite sides of the spectrum here, but, you know, you got a chance to see Charlie Hunnam's ass who's not going to watch a show, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, Charlie is
go out there and be like, you know what? I can't help it. I had to do it.
Charlie, let me tell you something. Charlie, okay, for all the ladies and the guys that are interested, just so you know, Charlie is the nicest, most down-to-earth guy on earth. And for those of you who don't know, Charlie's actually British. So when I first heard him in a British accent, I say, hey, Charlie, nice to meet you, man. It's going to be a pleasure to work with you. He says, oh, it's nice to meet you too, buddy. You know, and something like that. let me tell you, that is the most sexiest thing. If you think that Charlie Hunnam is sexy in the pictures and magazine and on TV, wait till you hear him talk with a British accent live in front of you. I was like, oh boy, I need to calm down. I'm working.
Right?
I'm working.
I know.
You know, and but on a serious note, Charlie is definitely a very, very sexy man in person, as sexy as he is on television and the prints that he's been doing. So so I'm here to affirm that Charlie Hunnam is sexy live and in person. He doesn't need any makeup. Trust me, he doesn't need any makeup.
Okay, now we've gone from Sam Corridia to Charlie Hunnam Lust Hour. Thank you very much. Let's just sit and talk about his asshole hour. I don't think so. I got to give some props to the boys. You know, honestly, just to be fair to everybody, there is a genuinely good, just an attractive-looking cast. And I realize, obviously, there's talent involved with the casting, but honestly, he's just got it on dead point, whether it's the writing, whether it's the casting. Amazing, just an eclectic.
No, well, you know, it is the writing, though. Let me tell you something. An actor is only as good as the writer, because if the writer doesn't come through, then there's only so much an actor can do with the material that's given to him. You know, so because Kurt Sutter has such the format of writing that he has, and he's so precise in keeping the story real and honest and true, you know, it makes it much easier for us as actors to portray the characters. For example, my character, I mean, he gave me a nice little background about my character, and I don't know if you guys noticed on the show, but my character and Charlie Hunnam's character in the show, we kind of give the impression that him and I had a prior relationship, like we've been friends for a very, very long time. You know, and with that in mind, you know, I was able to, you know, give life to the character, and just that little moment where, you know, when we first see each other, we give each other a hand and we hug each other and we give each other this look like, man, it's good to see you after all these years, you know. And I said that through my facial expressions instead of words, you know. But that's all thanks to Kurt's writing and the way he portrayed it.
Gotcha. Definitely. See, so kudos to us writers like me, just going to throw it out to myself, because there's no good product without a great writer. Just going to say that. Sorry.
That's very true. I agree with you 110%.
Do that for 30 seconds. Thank you, dear. Now, the one last thing I wanted to cover in that regard is, if I were to ask you to give me one sentence to sum up your time on Sons of Anarchy, what would it be?
One sentence?
Yep.
One of the most fulfilling moments in my career.
Excellent answer. I like that. Very cool. Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, just to throw a reminder out there, because we're a little after 4 o'clock right now, just so that anybody who's listening in knows us, now would be your time that you can interrupt us, because I've had you for a full hour so far, and I'm going to keep yapping at you until somebody calls in. But people are free. The lines are free to call in, so we might get interrupted with people asking you questions that aren't me, because you might be getting sick of me already. But
oh, no, never that, Cindy, never that.
Yeah, we just talked about Charlie. I mean, how do you get bored with that, right? Okay. All right.
You can't get bored with Charlie, I'll tell you that.
I know, that's what I'm talking about, right? Okay, all right, enough. Otherwise, I'm going to sit and fantasize all day here. Okay. Now, this is an interesting question. This is also relative to Sons of Anarchy. Now, when one finds themselves associated with such a hugely successful and popular show, now I would gather that every element from the scripts to the character arrivals and departures and also filming are held tightly under lock and key. So, therefore, I'm assuming the rumors are created under the guise of all that assumption. So one such topic that arises often, and I've heard we talk about it a bit, and I know I've heard it before, is just that next season is the last season for Sons of Anarchy. So I'm just interested to get your take on that. I mean, you really think this could be the be-all and end-all of everything?
I hope not. I really, 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 truly hope not. But the reality of television series is that they normally have a lifespan of between 6 to maybe 8 or 9 years, or 8 or 9 seasons. And what I'm hoping is that, SOA will continue. But there has been rumors that I've heard, through the grapevine that this may be the last season. But not because, they don't want to do the show no more, or Kurt Sutter doesn't want to do the show no more. It's just that, they can only take the storyline so much further. And on top of that, also, I know that Kurt Sutter and his crew are also working on other projects that they're going to be bringing to the table. So I think that that's one of the reasons why. But I also think that if the SOA fans out there demand another season and the ratings demand another season, then I think it might continue for a couple more seasons, and that's what I'm hoping and praying for.
Okay. So basically, if I drag my happy little ass onto a plane and I go out to L.A. and I just start going place to place to place and, you know, saying let's all rally together, we'll get another season, you think?
Yeah. I think that, I'll tell you, I mean, ratings talk and everything else walks.
Definitely. I would agree with you, certainly. Okay, now that we've touched on Sons of Anarchy, I really want to get into the body of some of the other work that you've done, obviously, because for those that are listening that may not know, your extensive work is not just in television, it's also in film as well. So let's do the TV side of things first, and then we'll flip on over to the film side, if you don't mind.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, in my opinion, the substance of a quality actor is made up of character diversity, originality, and hindsight. Now, in many of your previous works, I see that you accentuate a good number of those qualities. Now, you have seriously been blessed to have your name attached to a large number of projects. Now, I'm going to name off a bunch of these, obviously. Heroes, The Closer, ER, Seinfeld, General Hospital, Desperate Housewives, and the series Touch on, was that Fox Network? Or?
That's Fox, yeah.
That's what I thought, obviously. Clearly prominent roles in well-established different shows. So the first question I want to ask you actually comes from our fearless leader, Sam Crow, because you know Sam Crow, of course.
Yeah,
we all
Sam, buddy.
We all love Sam Crow.
Yes, we do.
First off,
awesome guy.
Before I ask his questions, I need to tell you that, and this comes from both Sam, myself, and all the Crow eaters in the club, that we just absolutely love you, and we want you to keep us up to date on Kill Capone, because we want status updates on that, because I know you and Emilio are both involved in that. He wanted me to tell you, American Me and Menace to Society are two of his favorite films ever, which you feel. That's awesome and amazing, isn't it? I mean, Sam Crow likes it. It's awesome, right? Now, his question was, he wanted to know what it was like working on the set of, or on being on a soap opera General Hospital as compared to, quote-unquote, regular or normal television.
Yeah, okay, that's a very good question, actually, because that's a whole different monster. Soap operas are a whole different monster from TV series. What I learned was that when you go on TV set, what you do is you're doing a series, you get on the set, and then you start doing what's called blocking, meaning that they start setting up the shot, meaning that, okay, you're going to start here, and then you're going to walk over here, and then you're going to sit over here, and blah, blah. So they block the set first, right, and then we start filming takes. So sometimes, you know, it could be 1 or 2 takes, sometimes it could be 5 or 6, up to 10 takes. As long as however many takes it takes to get the shot. But on a soap opera, it's 1, 2, done. 1, 2, done. Move on, move on, move on. If you don't get the shot in the first or second take, then that's it. Whatever they got, they're going to show. So it kind of forces you to step up your game a bit, I think, you know, and really be on your toes, because if you're only getting 1 or 2 takes, then you want to make sure that you get it right the first time around. Because, or else, you know, they're just going to air what shitty performance you put up. So that's the main difference between soap operas and TV series that I found very interesting, you know.
I gotcha. And just looking back at your history as far as IDBM and checking out your resume, I do notice for some strange reason, a lot of the work that you've done television-wise has gravitated towards the genre of drama. So was that done on purpose, or was that coincidence? Meaning, do you prefer that, or are you looking and thinking, yeah, I'm a pretty funny guy, let's do comedy? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you know, actually, it's a roll of the dice. Actually, you know, it's what happens is my agent looks for work for me every day. And she sends me out on auditions, and it's just a coincidence that the majority of the work I've done is drama. Because, you know, I'm really not a comedian. You know, I can be funny, you know, I'm a little witty, but I'm not a stand-up comic. And, you know, so I can't off the top of my head, you know, just be as funny as a comic. But if it's a well-written show, if the material's well-written and it's funny, I can make it funny. you know. And I'll give you a perfect example. I did a show called Boston Legal with two of my favorite iconic actors of all time. This was another great honor in my career, working with William Shatner and John Larroquette. On that particular show, I remember, you know, the character that I played was, you know, he had this Latin accent, right? And he was arrested for illegal cockfighting. So yeah. So did you happen to see that by any chance?
I remember this vaguely, so forgive me that it's not on the top of my head, but I'm sure I probably did at some point, maybe not the whole thing.
Yeah, no, but it's okay. But anyways, so that show right there is one of the shows, like David E. Kelley. He ended up writing an extra episode for me because of the portrayal, the way I portrayed the character. And but it was because David E. Kelley wrote it so well. It was so funny. It was effortless for me to be funny, you know. So yeah. With that being said, you're right. It's all up to the writer, you know. So the fact that I do a lot more drama, though, I think it's just a coincidence that that's most of the stuff that I go out for.
Sure, I imagine so. Okay, got it. And you know what? You're fine either way, to be honest with you, because I've seen some of the bodies of work, and I've been creeping on you because I had to do an interview, so I had to go and watch some of this stuff. So I've been creeping on you. I got to tell you, I have no complaint. Well, until you came on air and ignored me because you have to answer your text messages.
No. I'm paying full attention to you.
Now you are. Question for you, because I know some actors are forced into this position. I imagine that you've been so before, meaning what is an average TV schedule set-wise, meaning get us behind the scenes and kind of give us what an average day is so those of us that don't act know what that's like. And moreover, do you have the ability, like if you're doing a television appearance per se, to be able to juggle multiple projects, like work on a film at the same time that you're doing a TV stint? You know what I mean? Give us some background on that.
Yeah. Well, if I'm working on a TV show and I happen to get a role on a film or whatnot, usually the production companies, they call each other to work it out, to work out a schedule so they can both use me. And that's the way it really is. But and to answer your other question, about, let's say, a day in the life of on a set, we have this term in the industry that we like to call hurry up and wait. In other words, hurry up, get to the set on time, hurry up, get to makeup, hurry up, get in your wardrobe. Now sit there and wait until we're ready to use you, until your scene comes up. So we're hurrying up and we're waiting. So you show up, and exactly the way I said it, you go in there, they want you to be on time so you can get into makeup and then get into wardrobe, and then you sit there and wait until you sit there and, I'm sorry, hold on one second.
Oh, my God.
It's family. That's my father, but I'll answer it later.
Okay.
No, so we're sitting there waiting. We're sitting there waiting, and you know, finally they come up to you and they go, "Okay, we're ready for you on set." We go on set, and then we start doing the blocking, like I told you. And you know, the funny thing is, that a lot of people don't realize that it actually takes a very long time just to shoot one scene. For every 5 minutes of footage that you see, that could take up to 1 week to film. Wow. And a lot of people don't know that, but yes, it's mind-blowing how long it actually takes to get one scene put together.
That is amazing. Wow. Honestly, that's got to be very tedious.
Oh, it can be, but if you love what you do, it's not work.
Yeah,
you know, and that's the way I look at it. I'd rather be sitting on a set waiting all day for me to do my scene to be sitting at home all day doing nothing, or to be sitting in an office from 9 to 5 doing what you hate doing, you know. So yeah, as long as you have a passion for it, it's not work.
I agree with you because I'm having a hell of a time right now. I just am. This is my thing. This is what I dig. I love writing this up, and I love being able to share it with everybody. It's amazing. Now, before we move on. Thank you. Before we move on to the film side of things, I am going to come out on a little something on this show. This is a first for me. Okay? Now listen real carefully because this is really hard for me to admit, and I have to ask this question because it's been driving me nuts all day long.
All right.
You, as I cited earlier, have been an actor on this little show called Touch. Now, what you may not know about me, because you just became my friend on Facebook, I have an everyday mission. My mission every day I put on my Facebook page lately has been, I have one goal. So I need to ask you this question.
Okay.
I'd like you to give me a little hindsight, because, sometimes you work with various actors that you admire. I have a particular adoration, and in my mind, he's my husband in the future, but he just doesn't know it yet. So,
Kiefer?
Yes. I have to say, I'm going to come out right now on national radio to say I've been trying to get a date with this guy for I don't even know how long. I don't know what I got to do. I don't know who I got to call. I'm like, I got to at least ask Rolando. He's been in the presence of greatness, so you just have to tell me what it's like to be around him, because to me, that's like my Charlie Hunnam right there.
Well, I'll tell you, again, because he was also an actor on one of my favorite films of all time, Stand By Me. He played the best asshole ever. And I remember going on set and meeting Kiefer, and for the first time I shook his hand. I go, Kiefer, hey, it's an honor for me to be working with you. And he's like, oh, yeah, man, thanks for being here. And then I go, by the way, I got to tell you, man, you play the best asshole I've ever seen on my favorite movie of all time, Stand By Me. He's like, man, you know what? That compliment never gets old, he said.
Really?
Yeah, he said that compliment never gets old, and and he's very in tune with his craft. So the majority of the time when we're on set, he's very much in character. But the fact that like during lunchtime, he kind of comes out of his character, and he's very open, and but he's again, I've been very fortunate to work with many celebrities, A-list celebrity names. And I've had the fortune of actually having pleasant meetings with them and having pleasant moments with them. Sure. Nobody's ever come off to me as standoffish or, anything like that. And Kiefer is definitely one of those people that just made you feel at home on his set, because he's also an executive producer. And he's really an actor's actor. He really is.
Oh. God, good God help me. Okay, see, now I'm totally embarrassed. There you go. The whole world knows now. That's right.
That's all right.
Man, I've been trying to get him on my radio show for I don't even know how long. I have been, oy vey.
Oh, well, good luck with that, because Kiefer, I mean, especially because he's executive producer of the show and whatnot. Right. Yeah, it's probably tough for him.
Oh, I imagine so, and it's kind of like landing Kurt Sutter, too. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm not delusional whatsoever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get it one way or the other, and then once I get it, I'm retiring. I'm like, that's it. That's like the high point. When I get to him, there's just going down after that. You know what I mean? So thank you. Thank you for reaffirming the fact that he's a wonderful human being. Yes, I knew it. Thanks. Yeah. All right, let's talk about film now. We're going to turn it over to the film aspect of your resume. Now, I know, again, you've had the good fortune to be surrounded by some of the masters of the craft. And by that I mean, I feel that because this represents the quality of your abilities, and that you are surrounded by industry giants, some of which include, of course, Sally Field, Russell Crowe, and John Travolta. There's some big quality names right there. Yes. I wanted to cite some of your memorable performances, including Menace to Society, The Rich Man's Wife, Crazy Beautiful, Bruce Almighty, and, of course, Kill Capone, which he had referenced a little bit earlier, because, of course, you also extend your role in that to being a producer. So I have a couple different questions. First off, do you feel personally that you set yourself to a standard where you must achieve a higher level of perfection or professionalism in feature film due to the players that you're involved with, meaning that hierarchy of industry giants?
Right. Well, actually, I've never felt I've never felt intimidated by working with these people, because when we're together on the set, we are on the same level. We are on the same level field. We are both professional actors to do a job. And I've been fortunate enough to have worked with these actors that are amazing people, like Sally Field and John Travolta, Russell Crowe. They all made me feel very comfortable, and I've never felt the need that, I got to step up my game. No. The reason that I booked the role is because I was right for it, because the producers, directors, and the writers thought I was right for it, and the way I performed it at the audition is the way I'm going to perform it in front of the celebrity. So there's never been really a moment where I feel like, oh, I got to step up my game. No, I just got to go in and do my job, and that's pretty much what I do. Yeah.
That's very cool, and I love that confidence that you resonate like that. That's amazingly cool. Love it.
Well, you need confidence in this business, sweetie.
Tell me about it. Are you kidding me? This is the girl who's afraid to be talking to you because you look so scary, okay? There you go. I got to up my confidence a little bit, but we're working on that, okay?
Yes, yes.
Out of all the theatrical work that you've done in your career, could you maybe cite for us the one film that you feel just accented your abilities dead on?
Crazy Beautiful.
Okay, why?
Well, for starters, when I booked this role, I was considered one of the stars of the film because my character was throughout the entire film, from beginning to end. Unfortunately, this was a Disney film, so when it came down to editing, I had maybe about 12 scenes altogether throughout the film. But when it came down to editing, because my character was so gritty, he had some really raunchy scenes and stuff like that, and one scene where he's smoking a joint. So because it's Disney, they cut all that out. So I ended up with only 2 scenes in the entire film. And the director, John Stockwell, he called me personally and he said, listen, Rolando, I wanted you to hear this from me first. Disney forced me to cut you down, and there's only 2 scenes, but I have to tell you, when we screened it, your scene was so powerful that it overshadowed everything else. So the fact that the director called me and said that was amazing, and then number one. Number two, when I actually saw the film, and I took my dear friend to watch it at the premiere, Lobo Sebastian, who played the president of the Arizona chapter of SOA on the show with me on that particular episode, which also is my co-star in another movie called Next Friday. Anyways, he went with me, and after the film was done, he pulled me aside, and he had never done this. He says, Rolo, I just have to tell you, that was a brilliant performance that you put down in there, man. You outshined everyone in that entire film, and I'm proud of you. And you know what? I have to say I am proud of my performance because a lot of people have come up to me and told me the same thing of how my performance in that scene just blew them away. And it was a powerful scene, because it was between 2 brothers, the younger brother disrespecting the mother, the older brother trying to put the younger brother in check and saying, hey, you better watch how you talk to moms. And it gets really, tense for a moment, but then he ends up actually trying to school him and say, look, man, don't be like me. Don't be a fuck-up like me. You got potential. You got something to do with your life, so do that. And so it's a positive message, and I remember the Academy of Motion Picture and Art Sciences, they do a media literacy thing that they do where they grab inner-city kids from schools and teach them media literacy over a 3-day course, and at the end of the 3-day course, they screen a film. And this particular year, they decided to screen Crazy Beautiful and asked me and the director and other people to come down to do a Q&A after the movie. And what I remember was that after the Q&A, the kids got to come up to us to take pictures and sign autographs. And one kid, he stood out because he came up to me and he said, look, I don't want a picture and autograph. I just want to tell you that thank you. And I said, thank you for what? For that scene with you and your brother. You reminded me of my older brother who's in jail right now. And he told me the same thing. And I didn't understand it back then, but now I do. He just wants me to do better. He doesn't want me to screw up the way he did, and you made me understand that. And I have to tell you, Cindy, it brought a tear to my eye because that's the first time I realized that how relevant the work I do is and how it influences so many other people. And to me, that right there was just a culmination of why I do what I do. So definitely Crazy Beautiful.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful synopsis there. Now, this is one thing that I had thought about, and I don't know if you think this is a fair assessment. We'll see. You think your future might lie more predominantly in theater because you have done such an immense collection of TV appearances thus far? Do you kind of see yourself merging more so into predominantly film?
Well, I definitely I do a lot of television because television is more accessible because television shows and are written every day, every week, and a film is written and then it takes months to cast, months to film, months for post-production. So I have less opportunities to be on film, but I do prefer film over television because I think that it's you're more free, obviously, to play with the character and to take risks and whatnot. Because on television, the character that they write, the writers are usually very anal about this is how you got to say the words exactly the way it's written. And on film, you have they give you more leadway to ad lib and to improv and whatnot. So yes, definitely in the future, I'd prefer doing much more films than television. But the nature of the beast of our industry is that my moneymaker is in television. And I understand that, and I'm okay with it. But the more opportunities I get for films, for example, I went out for a character on the new Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is the sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And when I get studio films like that, it's a nice little paycheck. So yes, I'm looking forward to that.
How very cool is that? Awesome. And you do amazingly well either or, too. So to the average person like, me, a fan, I'm like, just bring it. Whatever you're going to do is going to work. So we're okay with either or, just throwing it out there. What can I say? I'm starting to like you a little bit. Maybe it's because you're paying attention more. Just saying. And you only got 2 more questions at it. I mean, how ironic is this? It looks like it's just you and me, kid. I don't see anybody calling in on us, and that's a little disappointing, but that's okay. You know what? I like having you for an hour and a half.
Hey, it's okay. I understand people
how many chicks can say
have
that?
work. Yeah, people have work,
Right, and of course they get busy and stuff like that. So I feel very honored to be the girl that gets you because I don't think that'll ever happen again in life. So I'm proud to say that. What can I say?
You're very sweet, Cindy. Thank you.
I'm very factual and I'm very true, and I don't bullshit anyone. So trust me when I tell you that everything coming out of my mouth is true. 2 more things for you. The first of which, I know that you had mentioned and prefaced earlier, which I was going to bring up, was any individual who sacrifices their time and some of their heart for the greater good gets, obviously, some of my biggest praise because, as you mentioned, you have participated in the past in the softball game, which brought together the celebrities to benefit local youth sports, which we know some of the Sons of Anarchy cast members were there.
Right.
I wanted to ask this. In your assessment, do you feel that the enormous popularity of a celebrity or of an actor can help to push a charitable cause to a measurable success? I was talking about this the other day, and I thought, let's get your take on this, because Sons of Anarchy is wildly popular. I mean, do you think that because you're an actor, period, or even if it was Sons or otherwise, if you make an appearance or go somewhere, that kind of just solidifies the success of something charitable?
Well, This celebrity softball game is called the Plates Celebrity Softball Game, and I've been doing it for, it would be 6 years this coming December. Now, unfortunately, we weren't able to do it last year because the venue fell through where we were going to be doing it. But what I did know, I've been part of it since day one, and that's because my good friend Emilio Rivera brought me in, and he said, listen, you want to do this celebrity softball game? It's for charity. I said, sure. So I went in the first year, and then every year after that I would go, I would see the crowds growing more and more depending on, celebrities that were coming. But the minute that it was announced that there was going to be there was at least 5 or 6 cast members from Sons of Anarchy that were going to show up, the attendance doubled from one year to the next. So I think, yes, it definitely is because, this was a charity event, so in order to get in, you just had to make a donation, So, and then that year, we surpassed the donations. I mean, normally it was, a couple of $1,000. I think this time we reached almost $6,000 or $7,000 for charity because of Ron Perlman and Theo Rossi and some other guys from Charlie Hunnam showed up to play, and the kids and everybody, the crowd, they would come out after the game to take pictures and autographs, and then and every year after that, not all the celebrities were from Sons of Anarchy, but still a few like Emilio and others are still come through. We even had Isai Morales, Eric Estrada on there. So every year it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. But definitely, I think that especially celebrities that are working right now, that are in the public eye now, they help solidify the charity and how much money it can really make.
Definitely. So maybe we should throw a shout out and say, hey, you know what? I know Sam Crow, you're listening right now. He's like a major celebrity. Like, who doesn't know Sam Crow, right? Let's just have an event. We'll have Sam Crow come there. Here you go. Bingo. We're talking thousands of dollars.
Oh, God.
See, Sam,
we can't wait.
Crow.
We'll fly him out. Tell Sam Crow we'll fly him out.
Thank you. Did you hear that, Sam? Because I know he's listening right now. I know he knows that I don't want to make a fuss over him all the time because I know he doesn't like it, but let's get real. Everybody knows him. So, you have an event like a celebrity like Sam Crow, it's going to be amazing.
That's right.
I'm a fan
Sam,
of
if you're listening, you better get your butt down here this coming December.
Good. Thank you very much. Now I have one last pressing question for you. I usually try to save the best for last, which is, of course, I'm very elated to share with the listeners that in the immediate future you have some things that are coming up, meaning that Zootopia, I know, is in post-production right now, and a secondary production by the name of Food Stamps. So if you want to give us maybe what I call the who, what, when, and whys about these two films, just give us some background on it, let us know what we can expect, when we can see them, that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah. Actually, Food Stamps it's already been finished, and we actually had entered it into a few film festivals that won a couple of awards, and we were waiting to find a distributor, and we did get a few offers, but we didn't feel that those offers were proper for the caliber of work and caliber of actors that we have in the film. Which we have Danny Trejo, we have Valente Rodriguez, myself, and quite a few other Latino names, including Emilio Rivera is in this film. So we turned down a few offers, but it seems that now there's a producer who loved the movie and decided that maybe this should be a TV series. And so now it's being shopped around, with HBO, Showtime, ABC, NBC, Fox, all these places to see who's going to bite. And so far we've had a few good bites, and we're going through the process of seeing who's going to want to produce this. So and the other one, Zootopia has actually already been finished as well, and it made it to a couple of film festivals. And that one, I'm not producing part of that one. I was just an actor in that film. My friend Brian Fogel was a director, and right now they're looking to have it distributed. So they're looking at a few distributors right now. And that was a film that I finished last year. And we're hoping it'll get distribution sometime this year. And then lastly, the film that I was in called Kill Capone, which is actually my first producing a full-length feature film. I was a producer on as well. That's the one that's in post-production right now. And Kill Capone, it's Kill Capone with a K, not a C. And if you go to YouTube, there's a teaser trailer. So just enter Kill Capone teaser trailer. It'll pop up, and you'll check out the trailer, and you'll see what the movie's more or less about. But I'm very excited about it because, again, I've got quite a few Latino actors in it that are well-known, like myself, my buddy Lobo Sebastian, and we also have an up-and-coming new actor, Latino actor, by the name of Richard Cabral. He's been on Southland. He's been all over the place. He was actually in a very successful film with Michael Peña and Jake Gyllenhaal, End of Watch. He was one of the gangsters, and he's well known because he's got tattoos all up on his neck. But anyway, so I've got quite a few names as well that I pulled in favors for this film. So I'm really looking forward to it being finished and getting it out there to the audience to enjoy.
Awesome. I got to say, Rolando, I think we did pretty well. I do.
Not bad,
I think we fared pretty well. Outside of a dropped phone call, You ignoring me
text
twice.
messages, my phone ringing.
Yeah, the phone going off. Let's see what else happened here. Yeah, I think we did well, actually. So we've reached the point in time where I have to do two more things. First of which, I want to let everybody know, of course, in case they don't know that you have a fan page on Facebook, which is your name, Rolando, last name Molina. Are there other social media places besides YouTube that they can actually find you or get in touch with you or follow your work?
Sure. You can follow me at Twitter at Rolando Molina 71. Also Instagram, that's just Rolo Molina, ROLOMOLINA. That's it for right now.
Okay, wonderful. So that's that. So if you have ever listened to any one of my shows before, which I'm sure you probably haven't, what you would know is I am classic for ending my shows all the same way, and that's whether it's this show or the other show, which is you need to just be quiet and listen for 30 seconds because this is my moment to be able to tell you my assessment of Rolando. So,
okay.
Just listen real carefully. This is what I get out of you, and this is what I want to leave with my listening audience. And just so you know, and before I forget to tell you, same thing with your fans. Once this show gets finished very shortly, when we wrap everything up, within the next hour or so, this becomes an archived episode. So you can have any one of your fans or family members or anyone come back all year round at any given point in time and listen to the show. So, of course, certainly they're not just limited to the live version. So just so you know that as well, and the listening audience, let everybody know, tell your friends, tell everybody, tell Kurt Sutter. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but it was worth a shot, right? Just so that you know, I'm like, hey, you know what? This show is 100% shameless promotion, in case you haven't noticed. We're all about that. So let me tell you what I think, my fine friend. I have to say, despite the fact that I've given you a whole lot of shit, which is what I tend to do to all of my guests, this is what I assess. I couldn't possibly be more thrilled or honored to have spent an hour and a half of my time with you. Now let me tell you why. There's three components about you that I find to be most admirable. First of which is that you're forthright and very honest about who you are, what you're capable of. You're not arrogant. You are confident. You exude confidence. You exude it in all of your roles, in your conversations, in your professional manner that you carry yourself. You are a lovely gentleman, for lack of a better term. I have the utmost of respect for you. I can guarantee that now that I've had this conversation with you, not only will I tell my friends about you, but now you have a consummate fan for the future that will be encouraging of any and all endeavors that you have in the future. And I'm crossing my fingers that you find 100% success with everything that you do, and I'm not afraid of you anymore. Whew! How's that?
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Cindy. That really, really means a lot to me.
That was true. Now wait till we get finished, because when I go on the show page, I got to write all this crap all over again. I got to talk about how nice you are like 3 more times so that everybody can read that. But I just got to say this much. If you don't come back to Sam Crow Radio again, I'm going to get a little pissed, and I'm sure that, everybody else that's fans of yours would certainly want to see you come back here. We want to keep in touch with you. We want to know how you're doing and see how things are going for you, and we will wholeheartedly be here to support you, especially the Crow Eaters Club, Sam Crow, myself, everybody. We're rooting for you. We really, truly are. And we'd like
Thank
to
you so much. Cindy, it will be an honor for me to come back. I'll be happy to come back whenever you'll have me. And I really, really appreciate your kind words. It truly means a lot to me. And, the fact that you've given me the opportunity to let my fans and everybody else know a little more about me. And to be honest with you, this is the first time that I've publicly announced that I am gay. On any social media or anything at all. Again, like I told you, I've always been a private person. If someone asks me, depending on the person, I'll tell. But I decided that there's the reason that I'm openly and publicly announcing it now is because George Takei came out before me, and I'm not having that. George Takei, in case a lot of you don't know who George Takei is, he was on Star Trek, the Asian guy on Star Trek. He came out as gay, and it looks like it's worked for him, so hopefully it'll work for me. No, but honestly, I just really wanted to encourage people that have gone through what I've gone through to let them know, again, it's okay, and things will be all right. You know, they will get better. So thank you so much for giving me that opportunity, Cindy.
No, in fact, I find myself very honored, actually. You're only one of two people I've had. I had one on my sister show, my own show, Since Chat Corner. I had a very good friend of mine, a businesswoman in New Jersey. She actually came out. She's a lesbian. She came out on my show as well. So I'm really glad to hear that everyone hopefully feels comfortable with me. And I appreciate that. I know that I speak for everyone when we say that this must be very difficult for you and challenging. And the fact that you were able to admit that and talk about it and be so comfortable with who you are, I find that to be profoundly amazing. So thank you very much. No need for any form of gratitude whatsoever. But if you do feel like you need to do anything, there's this blonde-haired actor that we both know. You don't have to give me an interview. Just get me that damn date.
Let me see if I can pull some strings for you, all right, Cindy?
You're such a sweetheart, honey. Thank you so much for taking the time. Like I said, please come back, and I will certainly be, just so you know and everybody else knows, after we get finished, I will go ahead and post all your information up so everybody can follow you. And certainly, like I said, don't be a stranger, because I do plan on coming out to Cali, and I would love to be able to meet you face-to-face.
That will happen.
Yay, that sounds terrific, honey. All right, well, you have yourself a great evening. I won't keep any longer, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Cindy. Have a great day.
All right,
Bye-bye.
honey, take care. Okay, folks, thank you so much for listening to that. Sorry we went a little over the mark on the 90 minutes, but that's okay. Final thoughts, like I said, and I think I've said it all, but he's just amazing. I'm more and more excited every single time I've given the pleasure every week to be on Sam Crow Radio. I adore what I do on my own show, but this is such a different embarkment. It's so very exciting, just the passion and the tenacity with which these actors come on and they talk about their craft and what they do just amazes me to no end. As usual, I want to throw my props out to the obvious people, which is, of course, first and foremost, my partner, my friend, my boss, my brother, Sam Crow. You heard what he had to say. We're going to be doing something with you, Mr. Celebrity Man. I want to say thank you so much for once again doing what you do, which is to get you and I together so we can bring quality production to everyone that listens. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to the Crow Readers Club for all of your support, the admins, the people on it, everybody who talks to me, everybody who supports me, anyone who listens to the show. Thank you so very much. Thank you to my own personal friends, especially Mr. Michael Dar, who's listening today for the very first time. Thank you so very much. Just thank you to everybody. Please keep supporting us. Just to let you know, we are almost at the 10,000 listen mark after 7 shows. Hopefully, Rolando will take us over the top here, and I'm sure that he will. So, again, you are so appreciated. Always want to mention to you comments, complaints, suggestions, support, anything relative to the show. We've got a fan page, of course, which is Sam Crow Radio on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter, which is also Sam Crow Radio. And again, the link here, you can let everyone know, is Blog Talk Radio / I can't talk anymore, / all one word, Sam Crow Radio. And last thing I want to mention, of course, make sure you all set your calendars for next week, because we have ourselves the amazingly tall, relatively scary, but so sweet and wonderful Ron Carey, the actor. He's going to be on 5 o'clock Central Standard Time on March 13th. So again, set your calendars. Please come and check us out. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. You have yourselves a wonderful evening. Thanks.
Napa know-how.
The Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is $0, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 500,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.